Los Angeles, January 15, 1947. The sun was only beginning to rise over the city, casting long shadows over the empty sidewalks and sleepy storefronts. Amid the morning quiet, a woman named Betty Bersinger took her 3-year-old daughter for a walk in the neighborhood of Limerick Park, near South Norton Avenue. Betty strolled, watching her daughter play in the chilly morning air, until something caught her eye on the edge of a vacant lot. At first, she thought it was a discarded mannequin, but as she moved closer, she realized with horror that what lay before her was no mannequin. It was the body of a young woman, split cleanly in two at the waist, her face bearing a grotesque, Glasgow-style smile. The body was pale, bloodless, and posed in a way that was both intentional and horrifyingly unnatural. Betty clutched her daughter close, her scream piercing the quiet morning. The woman lying lifelessly in the lot would soon become one of America's most infamous murder victims. Elizabeth Short, later immortalized as the Black Dahlia. Elizabeth Short was born on July 29, 1924, in Boston, Massachusetts. By all accounts, she was a free-spirited, ambitious young woman with dreams of becoming a Hollywood starlet. Standing at 5'5", with striking dark hair, porcelain skin, and piercing blue eyes, Elizabeth was impossible to ignore. Yet her beauty belied a turbulent life. Elizabeth's father had abandoned her family during the Great Depression, leaving her mother, Phoebe, to raise 5 children alone. Life was hard, but Elizabeth's dreams never faltered. In 1943, Elizabeth left Massachusetts, heading to California to live with her father in Vallejo. She wanted to break into the movies, but her father disapproved of her ambitions and strict Hollywood lifestyle. Elizabeth soon left her father's home and drifted between California and the East Coast, picking up odd jobs as a waitress and clerical assistant. She sometimes found small modeling gigs, but acting remained out of reach. Elizabeth spent her final months in Los Angeles, a city filled with glamour and ambition, but also shadows and secrets. Known to frequent bars and clubs, Elizabeth was popular, but also had a mysterious side. Those who knew her said she kept many secrets, perhaps as a protective measure in a city where dreams could all too quickly become nightmares. The discovery of Elizabeth's body rocked the city. Detectives from the LAPD, including Sergeant Finis Brown and Detective Harry Hansen, quickly took charge of the case. What they found at the scene was chilling. Elizabeth's body was severed at the waist with surgical precision, a procedure known as a hemicorporectomy. Her skin was bruised, her wrists and ankles were bound, and her face bore the horrific Glasgow smile, her mouth sliced from ear to ear. Detectives scoured the vacant lot, looking for any clue, but the area was disturbingly clean. There were no signs of blood, which suggested she had been killed elsewhere and her body carefully transported. Forensics of the 1940s were limited, and the LAPD had little to work with beyond the positioning of her body and her injuries. Days later, a package arrived at the Los Angeles Examiner newspaper. Inside were some of Elizabeth's belongings, a birth certificate, photographs, and an address book with several pages torn out. There was also a note cut out from newspaper clippings that read, "Here is Dahlia's belongings. Letter to follow." The cryptic nature of the package and its contents rattled the investigators. Was the killer taunting them? The LAPD put every resource into finding the Black Dahlia's killer. They interviewed hundreds of people, combed through Elizabeth's address book, and followed up with acquaintances and witnesses. But Los Angeles, a sprawling city brimming with hopefuls and opportunists, was unyielding. Each lead seemed promising, only to lead them back to a dead end. Every name, every alibi, left them circling the same haunting mystery. Who killed Elizabeth Short? As the investigation deepened, a parade of suspects emerged, each with a story that seemed somehow plausible, yet unproven. Detectives identified suspects from various backgrounds, from doctors and ex-lovers to Hollywood personalities. In particular, the investigation homed in on individuals with a medical background, as Elizabeth's body had been dissected in a way that suggested the killer had surgical skill. One of the most intriguing suspects was Dr. George Hodel, a successful doctor and socialite with ties to Hollywood's elite. Hodel's reputation was marred by a series of scandals, including allegations of abuse and rumored connections to illegal abortions. His mansion was near the location where Elizabeth's body was found, and according to some who knew him, Hodel was known for his disturbing and erratic behavior. In 1949, Hodel was put on trial for incest after being accused by his daughter. During the trial, he made cryptic statements that some took as indirect confessions to Elizabeth's murder. Though he was never formally charged in her case, decades later, a chilling discovery would surface. In the 2000s, his son, Steve Hodel, a former LAPD detective, uncovered evidence suggesting that his father had been the Black Dahlia's killer. Steve pointed to journals, photographs, and dark family secrets, including recordings where George Hodel allegedly hinted at his involvement in the murder. Yet despite his son's theory, George Hodel remained one of many suspects, and the evidence against him was circumstantial at best. As much as his background and odd behavior pointed toward his involvement, no concrete evidence was found to tie him definitively to the crime. The Black Dahlia case became a media sensation. Elizabeth's striking looks, her mysterious life, and the brutality of her murder captured the imagination of the public. Sensationalist newspapers seized upon the story, portraying Elizabeth as a Hollywood hopeful turned tragic victim, even though her Hollywood career had never truly materialized. Journalists dubbed her the Black Dahlia, allegedly inspired by her dark clothing and the popular 1946 film The Blue Dahlia. This intense media focus helped perpetuate the mystery surrounding Elizabeth's life. Speculation ran wild, with tabloids embellishing Elizabeth's personality and her personal life, portraying her as everything from an innocent ingenue to a troubled woman involved in dark Hollywood circles. The public's curiosity fed off these rumors, and Elizabeth's image became as much a part of Los Angeles lore as the Hollywood sign. As time went on, conspiracy theories sprang up, some suggesting that the LAPD had intentionally botched the case to protect powerful figures. Others believed her killer was a shadowy Hollywood figure who used his influence to evade justice. These theories, while often far-fetched, reflected the frustration people felt over the lack of answers. Over the years, the Black Dahlia case continued to haunt Los Angeles and capture the attention of new generations. In 2003, author James Ellroy published The Black Dahlia, a fictionalized account that further cemented Elizabeth's legacy in popular culture. Movies, television series, and documentaries all explored her life and death, each offering new interpretations and theories. Yet for all the books and investigations, the truth about Elizabeth Short's murder remains elusive. The case officially remains unsolved, and the LAPD still lists it as an open case. The case also served as a stark reminder of the darker side of Hollywood, where ambition and glamour collide with exploitation and desperation. Elizabeth had come to Los Angeles with dreams of fame, hoping for a break that would transform her life. Instead, she became an emblem of a city that, for all its promises, had a dark underbelly capable of swallowing dreams whole. The story of Elizabeth Short, the Black Dahlia, remains one of America's most chilling mysteries. Her unsolved murder speaks to something deeper, something unspoken about the dreams and dangers of Hollywood, a city that has long promised much but delivered little to those who come seeking fame. Elizabeth's murder forced people to confront the reality of crime, not just in alleyways and seedy neighborhoods, but in the very heart of the city of stars. Her death highlighted the vulnerability of those like her, young, ambitious, and drawn to the magnetic pull of Hollywood's promises. Elizabeth Short's legacy is a reminder that fame can come in tragic forms, that mysteries don't always find resolutions, and that some ghosts are forever tied to the places that claimed them. Though her killer was never found, Elizabeth's story endures, haunting the city she once wandered, a symbol of innocence lost and dreams broken.